You know, I've been following Volkswagen since I was a little kid. It's taken the brand a long time to get a foothold. There have been ups and downs in the U.S. market, but it strikes me that this wave of electrification, especially with the ID portfolio of products that you have out, is the perfect opportunity to really make some changes. Do you see it that way as well?
I could not have said it better, Matt. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, we have a great opportunity in the U.S. I believe that this is the right time, the right place, and with the right government regulations. The IRA guidelines that were passed last week put a lot of incentives on the consumers to have locally made vehicles, particularly with an entire supply chain localization, which is exactly what we want to do here in the US, to become more local, to gather and cater to the American consumer.
It's actually always struck me that, you know, having lived on both sides of the Atlantic, I always like the German VW products a little bit better than the US VW products, but what you want to do is bring a design team here. You want to create the look of US Volkswagen products in the US. You want to create the user experience that Volkswagen products have in the US. Do you think that's going to help you boost market share? And what are your targets in terms of market share?
Absolutely. So first of all, I think this is a company-wide objective, right? From our group CEO, Oliver Bloom. We have the US as a priority in our company for the next couple of years. And obviously, we need to have more tailor-made products made here in the US and in the North American region. And the fastest way of doing that is to have design customer clinics so you gain more speed and you have custom-made vehicles for the American consumers. So that will be our main focus over the next couple of years. How do we accelerate this trend? We are planning to have over 25 electric vehicles for the Volkswagen Group of America until 2030. So we have very aggressive goals to achieve in the US.
What kind of market share?
10% for the total Volkswagen Group of America and 5% for the VW brand.
How do you literally do that in terms of securing the supply chain? Like, where are you going to get your lithium? Like, where are you going to get the aluminum? Like, where do you get the stuff? And does that just wind up costing more for you guys?
So the first step that we have taken, and this has been in the works for a couple of years, is the announcement of PowerCo. We have a division called PowerCo that has recently announced that they will open shop in Canada. So it's a combination with the Canadian government, where we're going to be working extracting the minerals, the battery cell production, and the battery production, all in the North American region. And in addition to that, we have a battery assembly plant within Chattanooga. So we will be expanding our supply chain in the US.
I hear you. Is that going to be, though, more expensive going forward? I mean, I know you want to expand the supply chain, but can you get all your supplies? And it just makes me feel like cost-wise, that's just going to be a more sustained inflationary pressure.
Yeah. I think, you know, the IRA guidelines published last Friday were a great step forward for the auto industry and for the US, because they have clear guidelines what type of minerals from which country you can bring. So there are a bunch of countries that you can bring minerals and that you would still qualify for the credit. Now, having this partnership with Canada and with long-term contracts, and I think innovation, particularly in the battery production, will come in the next couple of years by utilizing less minerals or reducing the charging time in the vehicle. I think this will come in the next couple of years, hopefully reducing the price of the vehicle.
In terms of your advantages, you know, Herbert Diess set up Oliver Bloom for, it's really a behemoth. I don't know if Americans know how big Volkswagen is and how much money you've spent on, you know, building up a software unit, on building a platform for electrification. And you were talking to us earlier a little bit about digitalization. Can you get, you know, cars for the American market designed and built more quickly now?
Absolutely. This is a journey, Matt, so it will not be from one day to the next. It's not going to happen tomorrow. But I think by bringing digitalization, engineering combined with the design, it will increase the amount of vehicles that we bring to the market, and it will decrease the amount of time. This would not be possible if we would not have the support from Volkswagen in Germany. Yeah? I know that Oliver Bloom fully supports the strategy along with the board. Yeah? We have Arno Antlitz, and we have also the VW brand CEO, Thomas Schaefer. So everybody's supporting this strategy that we need to get more responsibility for the design and the development of the vehicles here in the US.
I was just down in Mexico and I saw down there some of the original bugs, right? And my heart flutters a little bit. It's such an iconic design. I grew up partially in Germany, so for me the Golf is almost synonymous with car, right? My mother has pined for a Volkswagen bus for the better part of my life, and I'm old. Are these iconic nameplates going to come back? I was worried when I heard the Golf. This may be the last generation of the Golf.
Yeah, so going to your point, they will come back. I mean, we're going to maintain the DNA of the brand, the iconic products. For example, we are launching the ID Bus in a couple of months. Here in the US, it will be a global launch. It will be in the beginning of June. And the launch of the product will be available in 2024. So these type of vehicles, iconic vehicles, we will preserve the DNA of the brand going forward.
There will be a next-gen Golf. We're going to still see a Golf in 2030.
We're going to maintain the DNA of the brand. Probably a Golf, I cannot guarantee you, but I guarantee you that the DNA of the brand of these iconic products will remain intact.
So that means you, yes, have to buy your mother one, I think.
She's getting a bus. She's getting a bus for sure.
A bus, okay, so she's getting that one. So speaking of demand, what is your view on where the US is right now in terms of recessionary fears, et cetera?
Yeah, so first of all, let me tell you that on the first quarter of this year, the market is growing 9%. So despite the recession fears, despite the inflation, and despite the interest rate, the market remains strong. And we have gained market share as VW over the last three months. So that's very positive.
How strong?
9% market growth is very strong. I mean, and we grew almost 10%. So I think that, yeah, there's inflation pressure, there's interest rates, obviously particularly on the lease when the consumers go to the dealer and they see that the lease has, almost double. It has an impact, but it has not slowed down the industry. Now, I think the Fed has made really good decisions on increasing the interest rate to keep the interest rate under control. I think this strategy will pay off by the year-end 2023. And I would expect that the interest rates will start coming down slowly early next year.
We've seen in the last couple of days a number of car makers put out news about their own finance arms, right? It's really important to have your own finance arm, especially in this kind of situation, high prices, rising rates. How do you plan to finance your growth?
So we do have
finance your customers.
So we do have a bank here in the US, a very solid bank. But again, it goes back to the product, right? So let me give you an example of the ID4, which we started manufacture in Chattanooga in the state of Tennessee last year. It's our first electric vehicle manufactured in the US. Today, for the first 3 months, we're number 4 in the rankings in the electric vehicles. Yeah? And then on top of that, we have a company called Electrify America, which are charging stations, 300 charging stations, 3,500 superchargers. Yeah? We're going to double that in 2 years. And the most important thing is that 100% of that comes from renewable energy. Yeah? And then we give the buyer of the ID4 up to 3 years, 30-minute charge for free, included in the package of the vehicle, which starts around $39,000. So when you're a consumer and you look at the total picture, an affordable ID4 with free energy, renewable energy for the next 3 years, and you have some financing options, and on top of that, you have the IRA credit, that's a compelling package.